Hello to all our listeners, especially our Let'sRun.com Supporters Club members, for a special live edition of the Friday 15 of the Let'sRun.com Track Talk podcast. This is Jonathan Gould. I am joined by Weldon Johnson and Robert Johnson, the brothers Johnson, as they're known, co-founders of Let'sRun.com. And we are going to be previewing some of the big meet action upcoming. Got meets Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Starting, the BU Valentine Invite is actually already underway. I'll be heading over there in about 45 minutes. We've got Marco Langen and Gary Martin in the 3K, Colin Sahlman in the mile. Tomorrow, some really big names are in action. Jane Hedengren and Ellie St. Pierre in the women's mile. Doris Lemngole in the 5K. Possible American, maybe even world record attempt by Ellie St. Pierre. I don't know, but she's trying to go out fast in that one. A lot of fun stuff to watch. And then later on Saturday is the ASICS Sound Invite in North Carolina. Robert's status, I think, has been downgraded to questionable, but there's still a chance he's going to suit up and go to that one, have boots on the ground action coverage for Cole Hocker and Sam Ruthe in the men's mile. That's the marquee matchup of the meet, but we've also got Cooper Lutkenhaus against Penn State's Handal Roban, battle of 142 men. We've got some really great action in the men's 3,000. Yared Nuguse, Nico Young, Geordie Beamish, Ethan Strand in that one. Plenty to preview. Keely Hodgkinson's making her season debut on Sunday at Saturday in the British Championship. She's only running one round. That's in anticipation of a potential world record attempt next week in Louvain. So plenty to break down. Robert, Weldon, welcome to the show. Where do you want to start?
We got to start with the mile, but before we do, I got to say one thing about that 800. That's the perfect illustration of where we are in the year 2026. There's a men's 800 at the ASICS Sound Running Invite tomorrow. Tomorrow. It features two 142 guys. One of them is in high school. I should take a step back. It features two runners. These are the stars of the show. One of them is a high school runner, and one of them is a college runner who's never made the final of the NCAA championships. You're like, why are we care about this? Because they both run 142. I mean, that's just how fast people are. It's crazy. I'm super excited about that. Look, and I'm most excited about this mile. We've got, how many years ago was it, John? 1965. Do the math for me. Very famous. One of the most famous.
Ago.
How many?
61 years ago.
60.5, right? Just over 60 years ago, you had a high school sensation, Jim Ryun of the United States, battling the Olympic champion, Peter Snell, and the high schooler won. I thought your preview was exceptional for this race, John. The roles are reversed. We're 60 plus years later. We have the Olympic champion, Cole Hocker, against New Zealand's Sam Ruthe. He's only 16. He's younger than Jim Ryun was. So what a matchup. And we got Cooper Lutkenhaus. We've got, Ellie St. After you'd written your preview, Ellie St. Pierre says, oh yeah, by the way, I'm running BU. I'm like, American record's going down. Is the world record going down? So excited. But I was really, really, really pumped to hop in my car and drive 6.5 hours to see this JDL ASICS Sound running meet for the first time. This Craig Long, is it Longhurst?
Longhurst, yeah.
Longhurst. This guy's created this pro meet starting about 10 years ago. Started with one pro race, and then he started off in $75,000 a year. But they can only get so high with a flat track. I think just some runners want to run fast. This year they've got the bank track. We've got these stars. I was hopping in the car, and I was really proud of myself. I was thinking of, look, I was going to how many people on planet Earth are going to be able to say this? I got in the car, and I drove to see Alan Webb run in high school. I got in the car. It was nearby in Fairfax, Virginia. I don't even remember what Webb ran in that race. I remember some kid pumped to break 5 minutes a mile. I got in the car, drove to Penn Relays, and saw Dathan Richardson run in high school. And I was damn pumped to get in the car and say I'd watched Cooper Lutkenhaus and Sam Ruthe run in high school. Now, unfortunately, that may not happen. Got a family member in the hospital, but this is exciting. And we've got the quote of the day from a former teen phenom, Hobbs Kessler. Is it fair that there's this much hype about teen phenoms? And this was a great quote from a Track and Field News article on Hobbs Kessler. They asked him about all these young guys running fast. He's like, it's beyond me. I don't even know what to make of it. But he's also in all the media attention. I know I've been the benefactor of this, but this fixation with the prodigy seems to be a really big thing. I feel like I got almost more attention in high school when I had the promise to do what I'm doing right now. The people that have the medal prospects are more exciting than people that are actually medaling. I think it's kind of weird, and I don't think it's super healthy to be focused on what you run at any given age. I think it should be consistency in your peak. I do acknowledge how exciting it is, but I don't know why. It's insane. It used to bother me. Like, oh, we're always focused on the 12th placer. Look, the way it goes is whoever wins gets the accolades, and then, yes, you're looking for the next phenom. That's just the way it is, and I was excited to jump on that bandwagon at this age. It took me nearly a half century to realize that, but hey, what do you guys think about that quote?
I mean, it's right. That is often something I've noticed is teen phenoms get outsized attention in the sport. I mean, look at Jane Hedengren, right? But also, in the case of Cooper Lutkenhaus, he's already in the discussion for the best in the United States. He missed out on winning the U.S. title by like a 10th or 2/10 of a second in the 800 last year. So we'd be talking about him whether he was 16 or whether he was 26. He's already belongs in the best of the U.S. discussion. But yeah, it struck me, I feel like when Matthew Centrowitz was winning his medals and winning the Olympics, I feel like he didn't get as much attention as he should have at that point. I think people were still looking for like the next thing. It's like, well, we've got the Olympic gold medalist right here. So it's interesting, but I think Cole Hocker does get plenty of attention every time he races. People are excited about that. But what drives more interest, like a Cole Hocker interview or a Cooper Lutkenhaus or a Sam Ruthe or a Jane Hedengren? I think it's probably the others because people are learning about them at the moment. Rather than Cole, he's been on the scene. They kind of know what he's about. But yeah, I am very excited for that race. I mean, I expect Cole Hocker to win and probably fairly comfortably in the end. But Sam Ruthe, if you look at his improvement curve, he PR'd by 5 seconds in the mile last time. And this is going to be the most competitive field he's raced of the season. How will he rise to the occasion, or will he fall back? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. That's why I'm part of the reason I'm so excited to watch it.
Yeah, let's break down this mile because it is somewhat crazy that we have the preview up on the website. We have the reigning Olympic champion taking on a 16-year-old, and they're not presented as equals, but it's like the matchup. Could he beat him? Which some of that talk is, it sounds crazy, but they're in the same race, and they're two of the fastest guys. Now, Hocker got the big win at Millrose, in the 2 mile. He's coming in great. He said, I'm ready to run fast. Everything seems to indicate that. He's done a 2K time trial, a 1K time trial. Now, Ruthe ran the 3:48 in Boston. I mean, so it's going to be paced right, John, at 3:48, and then kick off of that. The times to look out for: the American record 3:46.6, and then the next fastest time in the world is way faster than that. It's 3:45.14, the world record by Jakob Ingebrigtsen. And then, but it's unfair, I think, to put any pressure on Sam Ruthe in this thing. He should be in this thing just to enjoy it. But like, when you've already run 3:48 and the race is going out at 3:48, you got to think like, what sort of chance does this guy have in the race? What can we expect from him?
Right. I think just his PB is 3:48. Until last year, the world record in the indoor mile was 3:47. So that's why I throw his name into this conversation. The race is being paced for 3:48. You have to at least bring his name up. But I think Cole Hocker will beat him. Festus Legat, who ran 3:50 at Millrose, that's a 3:29.0 guy. Outdoors, I think, if I had to bet him versus Ruthe, I think I'd probably go Festus Legat as well. Like, it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, my expectation of how this race plays out is Hocker has said he'd like to go for a fast time. He sort of pushed back when I asked whether this would be a world record attempt. I don't think it's going to be, given that the pacing is assigned at 3:48 pace. But I expect him to sort of hang on the rabbit and then try to kick down the last 400, see how quick he can go. And I think that's probably the point he's going to drop Sam Ruthe. But Sam Ruthe, this is all upside. He has nothing to lose in this race, and if he doesn't run well, who cares? He still ran 3:48.
Yeah, look, I added the analogy on the comparison on the message board. I agree with you. Like, the Hocker is the Olympic champion. We think he's the best instructor on earth. Of course, he's a huge favorite. But the fact that we're discussing this, who is going to win, is what is so amazing. I mean, we put the poll up. 87% of Let's Run Nation, I think, Walton can maybe show the poll results up, have picked Cole Hocker. That makes sense. But some people, it's not like it's 1% are picking the high score. Maybe they're rooting with their heart and not their head. But like the analogy, when I really analyze this, I just think back about the other team phenoms. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Alan Webb. I mean, those were kind of the two OGs of the team phenoms. And when Alan Webb ran that 3:53 mile, you know, if you're too young to remember 2001, it was amazing. He came from way off the back of the field, but he ended up like 5th place at the pre-classic. There was a big gap, though, between him and El Garouche. I mean, it was 3.61 seconds. 3.51 seconds. And there was a big gap between him and second place, 1.61 seconds. So there was a significant gap in a pure time trial between him and the best in the world. I would think that if the best runners in the world are racing Sam Ruthe, you would still have a significant gap. Now, Sam Ruthe is faster than Alan Webb, but he's also a lot younger. So, I mean, if he could somehow win this race, it would be something we've never seen before. I don't think we've ever seen a 16-year-old. This would be like Cooper Lutkenhaus pretty much taking down the 800, last year, right? I mean, you're taking down the best person in the event.
Well,
now,
one
it's
of the
indoors
best.
versus outdoors. But if you fast forward, if you just go back 5 or 6 years ago, if you don't want to go back to 2001, go back to 2019. Jakob Ingebrigtsen was 18 years of age. He was racing at Worlds, and he finished 4th in the world. So, and even then, there was a gap. It was pretty much a time trial race. Timothy Chariot went to the front. He ended up 2.44 seconds behind Chariot. That's what you would think. I would think between okay. I don't think Cole Hocker's as good as a time trial or Timothy Chariot, but if they went all out, I would expect more than a second gap between these two. Probably more than 2 seconds, to be honest. But I don't think do I think Cole Hocker can beat him by 2 seconds in this race? Probably not. But to be honest, Jakob in 2019, he was 4th in the world. He was very close to the second place in that race. He was 0.24 off, 0.32 off. So I'm just trying to think, how much do I expect him to lose by? John, do you think it's going to be close heading into the Bell Lap?
I mean, it could be. It kind of depends how much Cole wants to pick it up, and I wouldn't be stunned if Ruth's like close on the, at the bell. I would be pretty stunned if he's close at the finish, because I just think Cole is in really good shape right now. Cole, like Robert, you're saying like, oh, Jakob was 4th at Worlds in 2019 when he was 19 years old, but like he beat Matthew Centrowitz a year earlier when he was 17 at the Peyton Jordan meet in 2018. So, like,
but Centro wasn't
early in the season for Centro. And I know, like Cole, we know he's in good shape. He just won the 2 mile at Millrose, so that's why I think beating him in this race would be a bigger deal than when Jakob beat Centro, and also he's a year younger. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it like I think the BU race. The other thing we have to factor in is a lot of things went right for Sam Ruthe in terms of the race environment. He had a guy from Belgium, Peter Sisk, trying to run just under 350. He was able to basically chase him down and then, go by him at the end. Very good racing scenario. That track, I assume BU's faster than JDL. We don't know for sure. We don't have a lot of data, but at the very best, like you could say it's equal. But I don't think the track he's racing on this weekend is going to be faster. And then the other thing is, Ruthe, look at his splits. They're all like mid 28s or like low 29s in that race, mostly all in the 28s. They're very consistent, and he didn't have a huge kick or anything at the end at BU. That suggests to me it was paced almost perfectly, and he was about maxed out, like 3:48.8. That's going to be about his max ability, barring some big improvement in the last 2 weeks. Whereas Hocker, I think he could go through on 3:48 pace and then pick it up at the end. And I'm not sure Sam Ruthe can do that. So that's sort of how I see the race.
Talk of Ruthe competing with Hocker, to me, I think is absolutely crazy. But yeah, somehow if that were to happen, this would be above Lutkenhaus, in my opinion. I mean, it would be just nuts. It's just kind of cool to have that they're actually even in the same race. When this guy hopped on a plane, what, 3 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, flew over here, I was like, okay, this is cool, or whatever, you know, like he can break some age group records. He can run fast. Like if you told me like, oh, he's going to be racing Cole Hocker, we're going to be talking, you know, can he challenge Cole Hocker? I'd be like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. So everyone should just enjoy it. It's one of the unique things in our sport, right? Like these phenoms, like the times don't lie. And it's not like Cole Hocker's not in shape. So I'm excited, but let's turn to Cole. What do you think of the pacing? I am intrigued also about how fast that BU track is versus this track, but like, what do you think pacing at 3:48? I think actually that's probably the way to go, but then how, if that's the pace, I mean, can you get the world record off that? I guess if you kick, right? Like, is that still feasible? I haven't really thought about the math really too much. Because in the open 15, if you're telling me you're going out at 3:29 pace, there's no chance you're breaking 3:26. So, what do we think about the pacing strategy?
Look, Cole's probably the one who requested this pace. If they said 3:48, I trust that he and Ben Thomas, that's their plan. Is they don't want to be overly aggressive and risk, you know, having just a disaster. And yes, it would be nice to get a PB, but I think his main priority is world indoors this year. So if they were truly like going after the world record, I assume they would try to pace it a little bit quicker. But I think his PB in the mile is 3:47 outdoors from last year. I think this is set up where if he's feeling good, you can obviously pick it up and, you know, probably run. I think you could run 3:46 on a great day. I'm not sure you could run 3:44, which is basically what he'd need to get the world record.
And also the Jakob 3:45. We haven't pretty much seen him since then, right? That was kind of his last race, John. 1500.
He went to World Indoors and, you know, won double gold there, and then, you know, we saw him in Tokyo, but it wasn't
double gold. Jakob, if you're still in the Bay Area, I haven't reached out, but
the other thing
that's forgot how good this guy is, right? Because Nuguse breaks the world record at Millrose, and then Jakob, like, what was it? I think 1 week later, just goes out and smashes it.
Look,
yeah, I don't think anyone's forgetting how good he is. But the one other cool thing about this is sort of it's just you get to see these people on the same track at the same time. I recall back in, I think, December 2020, at one of those sound running invites during COVID, you had Cole Hocker running unattached for Oregon in a 5K against Matthew Centrowitz. And they were both just doing this thing to sort of get back into shape. And they finished right next to each other. Centro just sat and kicked on Cole and beat him at the end. And the moment you're like, oh, it's kind of cool. You get to go up against the Olympic legend Centro. Now knowing who Cole Hocker is, like how good he became, is just kind of a cool moment in time to have those two guys in a finish line, like right together. Like 6 months later, they're duking out for the Olympic trials title. You just never know what the journey is going to go from there. But I think this is a cool moment we might be able to look back on if Sam Ruthe, you know, gets better.
One other thing while we're talking about miles is I was kind of wondering, like, you know, well, you already said it. Ruthe ran 28th the whole way, basically, in the last mile. But I was like, what does that add up to? I was trying to look at the lanes or timing, like, what did he hit halfway in? Because 3:48, is he going to blow up? And the reason why I asked that is because we also have Colin Sahlman running the mile this weekend in BU against some good guys, including last year's NCAA champ, Tefra of Georgetown, right, John?
Yeah.
So I don't expect Sahlman to win this race, which is interesting because, I mean, he just set the NCAA record in the 800, but everyone's like, well, given his 7:30s in the 3K, NCAA record in the 800, this kid's going to run near 3:50 in the mile. And you would think that. But remember, he did make the NCAA 1,500 meter final last year. Now, he did run a terrible race. And just 2 days before that NCAA 800 meter record, he ran a mile at Liberty, and he ran only 3:55. I say only, you know, he's like fourth place. And I went and watched the tape yesterday, and he totally blew up. Like, he went out hard, extremely aggressive. But, and when I watched that, it was like, well, he hit about halfway at about 155. He was way ahead of the field, ended up fourth place, running 3:55. That's just, you know, to go out in 3:50 pace that early in the season seemed extremely aggressive. Now, Jared Kornfeld said that's the point. We want him to redline. We want him to be on the red line. It proved to be too much. But when I watched that, I thought, oh my God, might Ruthe blow up going out this fast? But I added up those splits, 28.5, 28.9, 28.5, 28.8, 29.2 for Ruthe. And he hit 809 in 1:55.57. So you take away a second from that, and he basically hit halfway in 1:54. So he's already used to going out and fast. He's used to going out. Crazy. Like when he ran that race, it's not like he went out in like 3:52 pace and just threw down a big last lap, which is a little bit easier way to do it, I think, sometimes. I mean, Nick Willis always talked about it. He's like, oh, you can make up so much ground in the last lap. Like he went out in 3:48 times. So he's used to going out. I mean, it's crazy. Like this pace should not be too hot for him. I was kind of worried about a big blow up because, he already did that. And your article was interesting, John, because the only case for him you would think going way faster is he's improving like rapidly. Maybe he's 2 weeks older, but also like he had a long travel. He got off the plane. He's got that one hard workout of that race in his legs. Like if he's more rested, I mean, it seems unfathomable to me that somehow he could be significantly better than that. But it also would have been unfathomable to me. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know if it would have been unfathomable to me. If Alan Webb ran 3:53 over 20 years ago with the new shoes, which I think are worth 3 or 4 seconds, I mean, yeah, it's not that unfathomable. At 16 it is, I guess.
Okay. Well, we're very excited to see what happens in that one. What do you guys think is the second most interesting race of the weekend? Is it one from BU? Like, are you interested in these BU time trials? Like, some of these time trials at BU do turn into like interesting races at the end. Or is it the Lutkenhaus versus Roban, or is it that 3K at Sound Invite?
Well, I mean, purely selfish reasons, the Lutkenhaus versus Roban. I mean, John and I had beers with Chris Capo, the coach, and now I text him every once in a while. So if you're friends with me, I'm more into your races. No, it's the interest of youth to me. Like this guy's undefeated as a pro. He's going to World Indoors. I'm just excited. Like I'm literally watching a modern day Jim Ryun. That to me is way bigger than any of these other storylines. I've seen stack 3000s before. I've never seen Jim Ryun run. I've never seen an 800 phenom, run like this. So that
is this your first time seeing Lutkenhaus in person? Like you won at USA's. Did you see him run in Tokyo?
I was in Tokyo.
No, but did you see his heat?
Well, I assume I did. I was probably in the basement somewhere. Like,
okay, yeah.
I mean, I remember talking to him.
Okay.
That was the part that was the part that was so like upsetting to me. Was when we talked to the coach. No, when we talked to him, he said my workouts are even better, and I just thought, oh my god, like this guy might be something we've just never seen before. So I got really excited about that. And we've got 2 142 guys. So that'll be
Brandon Miller. Should know Brandon Miller, the 2024 U.S. Olympian. He's run 143.1. Like Brandon Miller is really good as well. So he's in this one.
And what has Miller done so far this year?
He ran, I think, a 600, and I want to say he ran 114, like not too far off of what Cooper Lutkenhaus ran. So I do think he's in pretty good shape. Actually, I don't see a result for him, so I'm not sure.
Handal Roban of Penn State has run 114.89 this year, so that'll be fun. No, but if you were gonna really analyze the next best race, I mean, I think in the name of equity and history, it's going to probably be the women's mile, right? I mean, it was a pretty good mile, but then yesterday we see that a tweet, Ellie St. Pierre's been added to the field, and she's asked for the rabbiting to be put at 4:14 pace when the American record is 4:16. Is that right, John?
Yes. And actually looking, I don't see a result for Brandon Miller this year. So the problem is there's a bunch of Brandon Millers in the sport right now, and it's hard to keep track of them. But yeah, Ellie St. Pierre, I mean, I asked her coach, Mark Coogan, I said, is this a world record attempt? And he just said they're just trying to run fast, but if you recall, she was supposed to run the mile at Millrose and then got sick. And then they weren't deciding whether she wanted to race again this week. She lives in Vermont, so making the trek down, they just couldn't kind of decide. And then they were going back and forth. And then clearly they made a decision, let's go for it. And look, you don't join a race 2 days before and set this aggressive pace time, which is 2:07 through 800. if you don't think you're in shape to do something fast. So I'm not saying like world record attempt or whatever, but certainly it looks like she's ready to go for a quick time. I think her American record 4:16.41 from 2 years ago is in danger, which is crazy because she gave birth in May 9 months ago, and now we're talking about American record. But again, she won a world indoor title 12 months after giving birth to her first child. So we've already seen her run quick this year. We know how fast the BU track is. It's pretty. It would be pretty crazy to see her get the American record, but she set the last American record right after pregnancy as well. So it would not be like with Ellie, anything's possible, I think.
Oh,
It's
the
a bit
more I think
much.
about it, if the Rabbits threw 800 and 207, that's really, she'll probably be 208, and then that's not really a world record pace. I mean, 4:13.31, that's going to be tough to do by yourself.
Right.
It's crazy what Dibaba did back in the day, and that was pre-super shoes, super spikes. Now, people may, suggest there's other assistants, but I'm just sort of shocked also with what people are running that no one's tried to challenge it, but it's kind of so far out there. It's like, well, I'm not. What sort of 1500 shape you got to be in to hit that? What's the conversion on that?
For Ellie's American record of 4:16, it's a 3:57.32. So for Dibaba, it's probably around 3 seconds faster, so 3:54 flat, basically.
Yeah. Okay. The world record ain't happening. Can she get the American record? That'd be amazing. Second race back. But she's done it before.
And then
I don't know.
in that race as well, you've got Jane Hedengren. And I was thinking, like, it certainly seemed like a collegiate record attempt because I was told BYU requested 4:20 pace. And that was before St. Pierre got added. But they've got Jane Hedengren and also Riley Chamberlain, who has anchored the last two DMR wins for BYU at NCAA. She's a 4:02 1500 woman. So she might be in that mix. You've also got now a late add, Wilma Nielsen, who's the defending NCAA champion from Oregon. So all of them might be in the back. You might have Ellie up front going for American record, and then the three of those going for a collegiate record. Could we see the first collegian sub 4:20? Because right now the collegiate record's 4:23, but Jane Hedengren ran 4:23 last year as a high schooler in June, and we know she's definitely in better shape than she was then. So I think she's definitely in shape to get it. The question is of the other two.
I think we'll see the first sub 4:20. Yes.
But wait, you guys think Hedengren's going to go sub 4:20? Come on.
If BYU's asking for a pace of 4:20, asking for 4:20 pace, I think it's possible. I'm not saying I think she'll get the collegiate record. Sub 4, like improving the NCAA record by 3.5 seconds is pretty wild. But we've already seen Hedengren obliterate the 5K record from last year and ran faster than the 3K record. I think those are probably more of her better distances, but I think she's in position to lower this record at the very least.
Actually, I'm not sure if she's going to go 4:20. That's equivalent to a 4 flat 0.65 1500. So, well, I guess she's run 4:23. So looking at her 1500, 4:04. Oh, yeah. She's going to run a 300. She basically has to run so it's basically, it would basically be the equivalent of a 3-second, a little less than 3-second PB. So I think it's going to be close, honestly.
It's not the equivalent. Her PB is 4:23.5. Like, just in the mile. That's her best mile 1500 mark. So I don't think we should just take it. Like, Jane Hedengren's amazing. I don't think we should just take it for granted. Oh, she'll definitely break 4:20 or whatever. But I do think, but given what we've seen, everything in the last 12 months suggests she would be in shape to break the mile collegiate record.
We did some mailbag the other day. We got in the chat. Garrett PKYXC says, "Is Marco Landon? Didn't misspell it? There's a G in there, right, John?"
Yes, Robert. I think you, of all people, could understand someone misspelling a name by accident.
See, the reincarnation of Cyrano Leonard. That's a former Irish Florida State runner. I don't understand this analogy at all, because to me the answer is a absolute no, because Mr. Marco Langdon is a huge Let'sRun.com fan, where Cyrano Leonard called us gutter trash, didn't he? Or gutter press, or what was the word that he used to refer to us? So
I
based
wasn't
on
working for you guys at that point.
yeah, so I forgot why he joined Salazar, didn't he, John, and didn't like us for some reason.
Yeah, well, shocking. He joined Salazar and didn't like us anymore. Alberto, if you're watching, shout out. I know John hates it when I acknowledge the existence of Alberto Salazar.
It's not that you acknowledge. I'm fine if you acknowledge his existence. You go out of your way to like give him props and shout outs, which I think is weird given all the stuff he's been punished for.
We're just supposed to like pretend he didn't exist in the sport for.
That's not what
years.
I'm asking you to do. Anyway.
Okay, first of all, Jane Hedengren isn't running 420, guys. Come on. Like, what do you think? She's in 3-4 flat shape, essentially? I guess this is 4.5.6, but the NCAA record, that one stayed a long time. Jenny Berringer still has the record, right?
Do I think she's 3 seconds a mile better than she was last year? That's what I'm thinking about. Yes.
Okay. Is Jenny's record still on there? Some of these people have run in the offseason, John. Give me the breakdown.
Jenny Simpson still owns the NCAA 1,500 meter record, 359.90.
But, okay. Sorry. As good as she is, I mean, she could lose to her teammate in this race, or is that crazy to think?
It's not crazy to think. Riley Chamberlain's really good. Wilma Nielsen ran 4:23 like a week or two ago. So actually, yeah, 2 weeks ago at Millrose. So she's going to be a factor in this one as well.
By the way, back to the Marco Langdon, Cyrano Leonard. Young people don't know who Leonard is. He's 37 now, but went to Florida State. 2011 World's finalist. Marco Langdon's already got PRs that are way better than him. Leonard's PBs are 334, and then in the 1,500 and 1333 in the 5,000, 750 in the 3,000. Whereas Langdon's already run 333, 734, and 1305. I mean, that just shows you, and this is what changed in 14 years. You know, I mean, I guess that is like the next generation. Like, I was going to say 10 years, but kind of interesting. No, I don't know why Weldon's so shocked that Hedengren can run 3 seconds faster than she did last year. I don't think it's a definite, but I kind of think that's what she says. I mean, John, what was the 5,000 PB last year for her?
Right, 14:57 as a high schooler. Then she runs 14:44 in college. So that's 4 seconds a mile, 4+ seconds a mile faster. It's not unreasonable to say if she's 4 seconds faster per mile in a 5K, she could be 4 seconds per mile faster in a mile. Not crazy, but
shocking.
Also,
it's like, well, it's like, how could you possibly think that? And I'm like, well, she's 4 seconds a mile faster in the 5,000, so that's probably going to roll in the 15.
Okay, one more Alberto reference. If Alberto's in the sport, we would real quickly know which of these tracks is faster, because that's where his guys would be going. Remember, like, Alberto was the first guy. Like, why are these guys from Oregon flying out to BU?
They did pioneer that, but at the same time, like, how many pseudoscientific theories did Alberto have that ended up just being proven to be totally hogwash or abandoned after like 5 meets? Like, he did that sort of stuff all the time, but he did help pioneer the idea of, hey, let's just go to BU 2 or 3 times a year and try to run insanely fast.
The BU track director should send Alberto like a commission. All these meets, they're just like minting money, man.
Can we just Colby O'Brien 378? If Hedengren doesn't break the record, it's a huge failure by Diljeet. That is one of the craziest, dumbest takes I've ever seen written on the internet. Like, my only actually criticism would be like, are we racing? She's having such a good freshman year. Are we racing her too much? Like, is this smart long term to have her hitting it this hard, this early? Like, how is she going to be gaining on this in the years to come? But I think so far she's been having an amazing year. Like, if she doesn't break a collegiate record every time she runs, even in an event that is not her best event, like it is kind of wild that this woman could be the. Have we ever seen anyone else? I guess Jenny Simpson maybe had the range to do it, to like be the NCAA record holder in the 15, 3, and 5. I know she's not the record holder in the 3, but very close to these things. It's just wild.
And she's probably not going to have the 5 after this weekend either, right, John? Doris Lemngole in the 5K and BU. Like, how fast do you think she's running?
They're targeting 1440 pace, I believe, in that one, which I expect Doris to get because Jane ran 1444 in December. Doris just beat her handily at Millrose. So I think she could very well go under 1440. But in terms of like mile, 3K, 5K, I actually do think we've seen athletes with that kind of range the last few years. Like Lemngole, if you put her in a fast mile, I guess she did run a mile this year at Clemson and didn't go fast at all, but that might have just been a rust buster. But if you look at like the men's side, Liam Murphy is the NCAA record holder in the 1500, and he's probably going to be a 5K as a pro and running 5Ks last year as well. So I think just like same with Langan. Langan's running 3:33. He's like one of the fastest 1500 guys in NCAA history, but he's clearly like a 3K, 5K guy. So I think just sometimes when you're going for these pure time trials, or Edward Cheserek, right? He was a 3-time NCAA cross champ. He had the NCAA mile record. I just think when you're talking about like pure time trial type stuff, which is what these college records are in the mile, the 3K, 5K guys can run very fast times in those.
Which
can I make an Olympic?
Has a better chance of victory this weekend? Jane Hedengren, Sam Ruthe, or Cooper Lutkenhaus? Rank them 1 to 3, please.
Well, Lutkenhaus is obviously one, and I think I'd put Jane 2 and Sam Ruthe 3.
I think that's the clear answer. Well, Lutkenhaus, come on, I'm kind of yes. He's proven that he's capable of making a world championship. Well, he didn't make the final or anything, but I think that it wouldn't shock any of us if he's one of the top 8 guys in the world right now. These other people to go to that level is a little bit of a surprise, and I think that Jane. If you remove Ellie St. Pierre from this field, she seems to be the next best candidate, most likely, right, for the win. So that would be higher than Ruthe. Ruthe, maybe the 348 mile. You think, okay, yeah, he's number 2. I just don't see I could see St. Pierre going out, blowing up, getting run down late. I don't see Hocker. Damn well, unless Hocker really goes just for broke on the world record and then ties up and loses to Ruthe. To me, I would respect that if he does it, but I feel like there's going to be some level of fear. Do y'all think I'm crazy? Even though you're Olympic champion, you're not. Even if you're trying to run this fast time, maybe get the American record, and you start to blow up. It's like when you're blowing up and you realize the teammate that you hate on the team is coming for you. You see him pass you and you kick it in to beat him. So
yeah, fear, pride, winning mentality, whatever it is. The Olympic champion does not want to lose to a high schooler in a mile. All right. So he's going to be fighting like hell if Ruth's anywhere close to him.
Yeah. There's this guy, Ungle Bungle, in the comments saying, Ruthe is better than Hedengren easily as a talent. Why are you guys putting her over him? I don't think we are. We're just saying who has a better chance to win this weekend.
Correct.
They're different questions. And yes, I 100% agree. But there is something related. Robert's like, maybe Hedengren's racing too much. I'm pretty sure somebody probably 2 weeks ago would have said, oh, what's Sam Ruthe coming over doing all these races? Is this really necessary? And now I think singing a different tune. I think that was Rojo's take. But also now we see how good he is. There aren't races for him in New Zealand and in Australia. Before it's like, okay, if you run 353 at 16 versus 352, does it really matter long term? But when you're running 348, come race the best. But this one will be differently, right? He showed up at BU, hopped on some indoor track for the first time ever in his life, right? It's this weird thing, this weird facility. He's racing some guys he's never heard of. Now, he said 2 weeks to think about it, expectations, and then he can't deny he's racing Cole Hocker. I'm excited just to see it, just to see one, how does he handle the situation, the moment, the talent is obviously there. And like Bob Ellis says, there's no chance Ruthe beats Hocker. I'm not really. They're within seconds of each other right now. I honestly don't think it's a possibility. If he does, and it's not some dying situation, we will be freaking out. Come what time is the race? People want to know how to watch it. I put a link in the show notes, but we should dial these down, guys. If you want to know the details, There's a link in the show notes to our preview. It's got all the times for all the races this weekend. But
right, it works out pretty nicely actually. With the BU meet is Saturday late afternoon, and then that goes into the Sound Invite, which is Saturday early evening. But the women's mile on Saturday is 4:05 p.m. Eastern time. Then you've got Lemngole in the 5K at 4:52. Then the A heats at the Sound Invite start at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and the final event of that meet is the men's mile featuring Cole Hocker and Sam Ruthe at 7:25 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch BU on Flow Track. You can watch the Sound Invite on Runner Space. All right, guys, speaking of running, I got to run to BU and go watch the men's meet, so I will allow you guys to finish this on your own, but enjoy the weekend. Robert, I hope everything works out with you and you can watch the meet, but if not, we will have, remote coverage.
We have our Let's Run supporters club member Allison, boots on the ground, definitely. So we have boots on the ground.
There we go. Not. There we go. All right. So long, guys.
Like Will was talking about Cooper. Now we really look like twins. If you're watching on YouTube, God, where's my friend Linda? Double.
We didn't promote this, and we didn't do the countdown beforehand. We just threw it live
today. Will was making fun of me for sort of criticizing Ruthe maybe a few weeks ago for I thought he was chasing time records and didn't like it. And it's all changed because I talked to Lutkenhaus's coach. Now I talked to Ruth's dad for a long time. Had an hour conversation. It was actually a fascinating conversation. And he said what you said. Well, he's like, there's no one near here that can race at his level. And he's like, if you had a son that really loves racing, like competing, like that's what's fun, like what would you do? And I kind of understood that. And then my main thought was like, well, I don't really like how like some of the workouts are on social media, and there's always a reference to Jakob's age group times. That's kind of what I would stay away from. But the dad made a good point. He's like, look, those are always on my social channels, not my son's. I do film him, but he was honest about it. He's like, look, part of it is you've got to get some exposure because, like we pick up an airline, I think Air New Zealand or somebody, when we fly over the States, they're going to give us business class tickets. That's like $15,000, $20,000 worth of stuff. And thank God they did, because I don't think if he flies coach class, gets delayed in LA, and then comes over like 40 hours before the race, that he runs a 3:48 miles. So it was totally worth it. His profile's huge. He's now going to get a huge contract. So at some level, you have to balance these things. But the thing that I most liked about the Cooper Lutkenhaus story was after running 142, he gets on the red eye, flies back to Texas, and shows up at the high school cross country practice at 6 a.m. So they kept it normal for him. And I think that the Ruthe family is trying to do that as best as they can. The dad was an age group ace himself, but they have like 3 generations here. They're kind of used to this. Sam's mother was the daughter of 2 great British athletes. Sam's grandfather ran 2:12 in the marathon in the 70s. The mother was an 800-meter Commonwealth Games champion, who very well could have been an Olympic champion if she wasn't competing against doped athletes. And those parents, with Sam's mom, like they didn't even mention the word running to her. They didn't want her to feel pressure to run. So she basically wasn't a runner really until she met Sam's dad. And it's like, hey, do you want to start running with me? And then she's like, oh, my parents were pretty good runners. And she ended up making world cross country teams. So I just, my advice to any of these parents is try to keep it as normal as possible. And I think that I've also had some nice conversations at NCAA Cross with Jane's dad. I mean, he runs a local track club, and he's got a lot of the older brother runs, and it's just like try to, if you have a phenom, I would say, they're still teenagers, they still have normal friends, they're just a lot faster than everybody else. So don't overcomplicate this.
Yeah, I mean, seeing like even like Cooper at USA's or Worlds, even how he addresses the media, he's very mature in certain ways, and then he obviously races like an adult. But then you think like they're still 16-year-old kids. Like he's a year older than my nephew, which is like I just can't imagine like my nephew handling the situation. But if my nephew was a phenom and got used to talking to people like this, he would part of it you would adapt. So it's a fine balancing act. I think they're doing a great job with both of them. Bob in the comments says we need to do a better job promoting the live show. We only decided to go live ourselves about minutes before we did. Robert's at his in-laws because it's a family thing, and part of it is because he's remote. We're like, oh, we'll use the live streaming service. And I'm like, we'll just go live with it. Might as well, because there's so much going on. And all right,
I have a new theory for Let's Run 2.0. Daily shows, catch it live, and then it's gone. Sports club members can always keep watching on demand. So, anyways, the one thing we haven't talked about was this men's 3,000. John called it maybe potentially the race of the day. This is at the JDL Fast Track, right? Well, I also have time with the women's 3,000 at JDL. Women's 3,000 has Dorcas EOI World's 1,500 meter silver medals, Nikki, Hiltz, Shelby, Houlihan, and Caitlin Toohey. That's a pretty fun field. I mean, I would expect it'll be interesting to see what Shelby Houlihan's up to and what kind of shape she's in. She ran a 209 800 in Flagstaff. She ran a 24K trail race. She didn't seem motivated about running track. Like, she had such a good year last year, like 4th in outdoor worlds and medal indoor worlds. Still no sponsors. That's got to be depressing. So I was kind of hoping that she wouldn't run indoors at all and just try to get her head back. So I hope she's in good shape. And then Nikki, I would just expect Nikki Hiltz to win this. But it would be interesting to see what Dorcas EOI runs in the 3,000 and can Toohey somehow come back and be relevant in the pro scene. But the men's 3,000, Yared Nuguse, who actually won a World Indoor Silver in this event, 2024. Geordie Beamish, World Steeplechase Champion. She's got 2 great 3,000 meter runners. I mean, one of the sickest kicks of all time. NCAA champions, Ethan Strand, last 2 NCAA champions, Ethan Strand and Nico Young. And, like, who's the favorite in this race? I thought what Jonathan Galt was wrong. And I kind of wanted to call him out on this. He said that Beamish and Strand will be looking to rebound from underwhelming performances at Millrose, where they ran the 2 mile. Beamish was 5th in 8:08. Strand was 11th in 8:15. And while Nuguse is very consistent, she ran a 3:48 mile. The favorite might be Young. He wasn't far behind Nuguse in the mile at Millrose, running a PB of 3:48.72. And the 3,000 distance only helps him. I agree that the 3,000 distance helps Nico Young. And he's in 340 mile shape, so you'd think he would win. It's weird. I don't view him as a 3,000 guy. I view him as like a 10,000 guy. And I know he could kick for NCAA wins, but I'm like, he's racing against guys who I think kind of are 3,000 guys with huge kicks. I mean, Ethan Strand's best event, he's always said, is the 3,000. Geordie Beamish, 3,000. Yared Nuguse. Like, do we really expect Nico Young to outkick Yared Nuguse in a 3,000? Like, I don't think this is going to be some pure time trial where they're going for the American record. In that type of scenario, maybe Nico, like if you had a rabbit, you hire the world's best rabbit, I would think, yeah, maybe Nico Young breaks him from the front. I just think it's going to get tactical, kind of like a Diamond League 5,000 does oftentimes late. And then I think that's going to benefit one of these other guys, whether it's Beamish, Strand, or Nuguse.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go a different thing with not the criticism of John, but when he said Beamish and Strand are looking to rebound from underwhelming performances at Millrose, I don't put their performances in the same bucket. At Millrose, Hocker wins 8:07.31. Beamish is only 5th, but he's 8:08.58. He's a second and a half back. That's not that crazy. Where's Strand? Strand was way back, 8:15. Like, the comparison, Beamish far off from winning this thing. I mean, a second and a half, but like, he's in the race. Look out for him. I think Nuguse has to be the favorite, though.
Yeah, the underwhelming with Beamish being 5th and kind of kicking really hard and being somewhat close, within eyesight, you could see the winner. I was wondering if that was a little bit unfair, but it was disappointing to me because he ran 8:05 in the 2 mile 2 years ago in Millrose. Like, why are you falling off the pace? Like, we know your final 200 is insane. It's the best in the world. You've already run 8:05, so you should not be falling off this pace and then kicking to an 8:08. So maybe disappointing would have been better for him. I mean, it was underwhelming for Strand, but I was really high on Strand, and I don't know what happened in that 2 mile. So it would not shock me if he wins this race.
You hire him just from the cross country. I think if he's fit, he's one of the contenders. And it's the kick is such a beautiful thing in track and field, right? Because in a fast race, I still think Beamish but like he was close enough in that race, and I don't think this race will be as hot as that one. So Nico will be very incentivized. And I'm like, well, Nico can't outkick these guys. He's not known for his kick. Nico did win a Diamond League in 12:45, so he can outrun people. And then Nuguse is former American record holder at this event. So if I had to pick, I think Nico's going to run away from Nuguse if Nuguse is pushing it. After that free 48, maybe. What was Nuguse's mile time at Melrose?
347, wasn't it?
Yeah, Nuguse was 348, 31. Nico was only 0.4 back, which is pretty good for him, but it's a good race. That's what we're debating it, right?
I would think
Problem
in
with
a
track and
time
field
trial,
is,
he would beat him,
usually
but
know-
this isn't going to be a time trial.
Yeah.
Just think about Jakob. You've got to be so much better at the event if it's not a time trial. By the way, talking about women's 3,000, Dorcas Eway, her 3,000 PB is 9:34. She did run a 9:37 2-mile in Milrose, which is probably right around 9 flat. She's only got a 16:35 5,000.
And the Let's Run poll on the homepage, people are
I wanted-
saying it's very evenly spaced, or actually not. 37%. Nico Young is the favorite, according to the Let's Run faithful. Then Nuguse 25%. Then Strand at 19. Then Beamish 18. I guess I like Beamish over Strand in a slow race, and Nico and Yared, you can make your case for either one of them in a fast race.
I guess Let's Run Nation agrees with John. Young is the favorite, huh? %84% expect Jane to break the NCAA mile record. Only 38% expect her to break 4:20. I wanted to ask John about, I was supposed to be boots on the ground. I wasn't planning to have to do this podcast from the in-laws' house, but so I just when I took my phone out to research some stats right now, to pick up a text message right now, and my lighting went away. But our boots on the ground supporters club member Allison was already planning on going to the meet for us, and then I said I got to get down there. A few days ago, she kept saying I'd give you a pass. I'm like, well, I'm not worried about it. I didn't actually apply, but I emailed the director. She wrote back. I basically just praising myself because this is the email of the last decade for me. Just pump my ego up. She said that's like asking Michael. It's like Michael Jordan asking for a credential to go to a Bulls game. So I think she was comparing me to the Michael Jordan of journalism. I wanted to see if John agreed. Now I did test. I texted back and sort of made fun of my age. I'm like, no, it's more like a elderly Al Michaels applying for a press pass. I used to be good, and now I'm getting a little older. So.
And Robert may be tooting his own horn, and people may think, oh, this is just some random Let's Run person, doesn't know the bigger media world. But Allison used to work at TNT Sports with Charles Barkley and Steve Kerr crew. She's been around the best. She's been around the best. Well, so got to pump up Rojo's ego. All right. Anything else to address? Any quick comments, questions? Put something on the questions. Otherwise, we're signing off. We said we're going to do 45 minutes. We're at 53, guys. But if anyone wants to throw a comment in the questions, we can answer
We
it.
take the sound off on the Supporters Club. By the way, if you want this as a podcast on demand, go to letsrun.com/subscribe. By the time we take the sound off, I bet it'll be under 45 minutes. And then the silence. I think there was there was just two other things that I wanted to mention that I found when I was doing the website last night. We talked about the Atlanta Track Club's 4x800 world record. It's kind of cool. Sean Dolan, Penn coach's son of Penn coach Steve Dolan, anchors the team to 145. They get the world record. I didn't realize the next day he comes back to earth. He loses the Open 800 to a University of Pennsylvania freshman. I mean, now the freshman did run 146.99. His name is Joseph Sakaris. He was very good. He ran 147 in high school. So I was just like, wow, like you set a world record one day and then you lose to, I was going to say a high schooler, but a college freshman the next day. And it's just great. It also shows you how much faster the time was. Because when I was coaching at Cornell, Sam Burley won the NCAA outdoor 800 meter title, and he never broke, I don't think he ever broke 148 indoors. I mean, NCAA champion, never broke 148 indoors. And now you've got freshmen running 146.90, and 146.99 is obviously right next to 147. But this kid's only like 15th, I think, in the country, which is wild. And then the other story was from the track and field. Jeff Halba had a story in Track and Field News about Hobbs Kessler and, the calf strain and the 2K world record. I didn't realize his dad used to be involved in his coaching, and he fired his dad. So I put that quote on the message board, and I just think it was a sign, sort of. I thought it was an interesting quote. He just said, I just needed a little bit more separation. You know what I mean? As much as I love my dad, I just need an outside person to tell me what to do. The training itself is pretty similar. I feel like I'm making really good progress. My volume's higher, my threshold's higher, my race-specific workouts. So I thought that was true. I think it'd be very hard to be coached by your father. You're trying to get independence in your early 20s. I can see just saying, no, I don't need if I need your advice, you can still be a sounding board, but I don't want you involved in day-to-day training. And I hope that, Pat Hinner, I'm wondering if the actual individual long runs are going up. I heard this crap, like, I don't like to run more than 7 miles at a time. I'm like, come on. Like, that's at the race pace he's running is probably 45 minutes. Like, can we get that up to an hour a day? Like, I don't think there's a big need for him to run more than an hour a day. John Kellogg always thought there was something magical about the 1 hour distance. He's like, I don't know, he had some theory of like why 60 minutes was better than 58 and stuff like that. So anyways, who will have a better career? Ines Fitzgerald of Great Britain or Jane Hedengren? It's kind of interesting. Like, the Brits understate everything. You don't hear much about Fitzgerald nearly to the extent that you do in the U.S. about Jane, I don't think. But, like, would you like that pressure, Weldon, or would you rather just be a little bit more
Well, I
under
think
the radar?
as somebody said, Sam Ruth's dad sort of said, like, some ways you want the hype because you get a much better, bigger contract. I think there's probably a happy medium for all this stuff, right?
I mean, Fitzgerald's already run 14:39. She's crushing the European cross country championships, but it's also a different way to do it. Like, she still dominates the junior records, but she goes to the world scene and gets her head beat in. And Jane sort of stays in the U.S. scene where she's near the front. I would think that's impossible to sell. That's God. I mean, the thing that Jane has going for her over Ines is the speed. I mean, Ines' 1,500 meter PB somehow is 4:15. She doesn't even have a mile PB, or indoor 4:08, excuse me. So that was actually this year, 4:08. So Jane's a lot faster than that normally was substantial. I was going to say the thing that going against Jane is Jane's, well, at altitude. Like, you can't add altitude to the equation. She's already been at altitude for all these years. She was born and raised at altitude. Now, the best runners generally are born and raised at altitude, even from the Americans. Ryan Hall, born and raised at altitude. Like all the Kenyans, all the Ethiopians, born and raised at altitude. I had a top coach. I'll just say it, Mark Coogan. Actually, one of his daughters was born in Boulder. He's like, well, I think there's something to be said to being in utero at altitude. So that being born and raised at altitude could help Jane, but I don't. It's a negative now because you can't add that stimulus in. There's no extra stimulus. I don't know how much altitude training Fitzgerald's done. Probably very little, right? Isn't this the woman that's really into the environment and stuff like that? So, God, if I see, you can debate these things and add both sides, but then I'm not very good at, like, it's like heads or tails, which is the right answer. I'm terrible at making that type of decision. So if I had to pick, I was about to go to Ines because she hasn't done altitude, but I don't want to be on record saying that. I'm still just, I would like to see the success at age 20. When's Jane's birthday? Ines turns 20 in April 6th. Jane turns 20 on September 6th. So Jane's a little bit younger. It's better to be older. I'm kind of leaning towards, I don't know, the speed makes me lean toward Jane. The age says lean towards Ines. and they're not on altitude.
I mean, it's tough, but to be useful is great. I just put up a picture of the Let's Run meetup. Someone asked, I need to put these on the homepage, actually. I'll do that. Great turnout. But there's a table of probably 15 people under the age of 20. They didn't join for the photo. I'm like, am I too old, or they're too cool? That's just kind of what you do. You don't need to get up. But hey, does Jakob race before he's 27? Let's see, probably not.
No, before 2027. Yes, he's 25 years of age. Yes, he runs this year.
Like, when's his birthday?
I hope that. No, I'm pretty certain this isn't. He must not have had the same surgery I did, because mine hurt for a full year afterwards. Full year. And I was like texting him, Elle St, the same doctor, saying, "Why is my leg so hurting?" He said, "I told you, do not get back to me until 1 year. And then, if it's hurting after 1 year, then we'll look into it again." And it stopped hurting like 11 months and 3 weeks. But no, I think he had a different injury. I think the expectation is that he would be running at a minimum within 12 weeks. So February, March. I would think he'd be able to race by the end of the season. Before the end of the year, yes.
Yeah, I think for whatever reason, I think he probably will do something in the fall.
All right.
I don't know. But
I hope to be the meet. If not,
I should make a Winter Olympics analogy real quick. Robert, are you familiar with this Claybo guy at all? Have you been watching any Olympics?
No, I'm not. I've been watching the Olympics like most nights. Maybe I missed one night, but I watched a little bit last night.
I know, mainly for me, actually, I've been watching this on demand. But then I'm like, wait, it's on during the day. I flipped it on today. Even the NBC show, I think, was already taped. So Johannes Kleibo won his third gold medal of this Olympics. I think is maybe 8th overall. But Robert, he's won the 1500, the sprint, which is like a mile. He won the 10K, which they said was his weakest event, and he previously won the mass race, which is 20K. So he's won everything from the mile to the 20K. I'm like, that's not possible. But maybe that's kind of what we're seeing now. And the analogy was like, oh, imagine someone who's good at the 1500 is a good kick. They'll be good at the 5K because the times are less. But it's not the 5K. The 20K isn't like a 5K, but the mass race, I think you can draft and kick at the end. But my initial reaction was like, oh, skiing isn't that competitive, because also there's different techniques. But we're essentially debating, was Jane Hedengren going to have the NCAA mile to 5K records?
Well, I think after the Olympics, I'd love to talk about the Winter Olympics. And what if track and field ran something like that? I mean, we'll wait till John comes back. But some of these events, you get multiple relay teams. Well, it's not relay teams, but like these 2-event skiing events. Like you have one downhill, one slalom. USA gets like 4 teams. I'm like, okay, well, why can't we have 4 4x4 teams? Let's just take all the medals. And, they also, like some of these events, I think it was a 12K in skiing. It's a time trial. What would the results be different? I think it certainly would be. Imagine if the men's 10K on the track was just every minute boom, what if it was on the road? Let's just say that. Or whatever, just Mo Farah has to run a 10K time trial. Do we think he would have all these gold medals? I don't. I think one of these guys from Ethiopia or Kenya would have been able to better front runner and just slammed it home.
Well, maybe this will prompt. I have 2 ideas for a Let's Run mile. One would be a clockwise mile, and the other is you just go out. It's just pure time trial. And I don't want you're not allowed to look at your watch. You can take splits just so we know what they are afterwards. But I just want you to run on the track a mile all out. See what the time is. I would love to know like how that relates versus these pace races.
We gotta have the prize money though. We're gonna have to offer like do it at the end of the season.
Oh, we could just
randomly draw them out of a hat. Huh?
No, just people go do it on their local track or something.
No, we need an event where we have the
like a one-off. It's great spectator sport, the mile time trial. I don't know. Hey, it's great. And Norwegians, is cross-country skiing, like they said, it's the most popular sport. Is that really true? Or is it just because you guys are good at it?
It's for TV. All right. We love you guys and gals. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah. Happy Valentine's. If you want this as a potty, if you're watching the show, and you want this as a podcast, it's much easier to listen as a podcast. We gave you no warning on this. Sometimes we don't even leave it up on the internet. Go to letsrun.com/subscribe. We have a money back guarantee. Join for a year to get a t-shirt. I don't think I've ever had to give anyone their money back. Occasionally someone doesn't renew. I don't, obviously they get their money back, but no one's complained. Check it out. Letsrun.com/subscribe.